Welcome to Jupiter, Florida. This week we are going to discuss what are some of the pros and what are the cons of living here in Jupiter, Florida. So one of the pros when it comes to living in Jupiter, Florida is its natural beauty. This is literally one of the most beautiful places in all of the East Coast of the United States. In my estimation, if you were to move here to Palm Beach, Florida, this one and Juno Beach, which is literally right down the way from here, are two of the best the beaches in all of Palm Beach, and we have a ton of great beaches here. Delray Beach, Boynton Beach, tons of beaches, but this one is one of my favorites. As you can see, we have lots of people that come early. I love coming for the sunrises. The sunrise is one of my favorite things to do in Florida. I'm surprised more people don't do it. But just to give you an idea, when I talk about the beauty, Coastal Living, the magazine Coastal Living, categorized Jupiter as the ninth happiest seaside town in the United States. And in Wallet Hub, I'm sure you guys have heard of them, they labeled it the 12th of all the United States, the 12th beach town in the United States. So there's a lot here. If you are thinking about moving here to South Florida and you're targeting Palm Beach, there is a big difference between Jupiter and just down the way in Boca Raton. The northern part and the southern part, it's 40 miles apart, but might as well be a world away. So who am I? Well, my name is Ray Fernandez. I'm with Living in Palm Beach, Florida, powered by eXp Luxury Homes, and welcome. Each week we show a video of what it's like living here in sunny South Florida. 18 years ago, my family and I relocated to this area, and we haven't looked back. If you are thinking about moving to this area, if you're wondering what it's like living here in South Florida, and you want to get answers from people who have actually done it before, well, there's a few ways to get a hold of us. Down below is our email address. That's one great way. Also on the screen, you see our phone number. You can either call or text that number. But literally two of the best ways is in the description and the comment section, there's a link. Click on that link. What that'll do is have some time for us to speak, either through a phone call or through a Zoom, whatever way you feel most comfortable. In any case, we have your back when it comes to relocating here to sunny South Florida. So one of the pros when it comes to living in Jupiter, Florida is the beaches, the waters here are warm most of the year long. You can literally go in that water all year long. That when you live in places such as California, while they have beautiful beaches in their own right, the temperature is a lot warmer here. You can do, and I'll talk more about this later, you can do water sports all year long. We are the boating capital of the world. We are the fishing capital of the world. That pier back there, which is there's a lot of early fishermen. If you go to Juno Beach, it's even more. A lot of people get here early and go fishing. So there's the Jupiter Inlet is right there. The lighthouse is also down the way, and so what happens is you get a lot of people who, if you're into fishing, this is one of the best places. Stick around to the end. We're going to go over some of the places. If you're thinking about moving to this area, we're going to go over some of the communities, some of the high end, some of the not as high end places. In general, Jupiter is a more expensive place to live. We'll talk more about prices later. So one of the cons when it comes to living here in Jupiter, Florida is it's a little bit rural here. That might not be a con for you, but for some it may be. So if you're interested, if you look at places in the southern part of the county, like Boca Raton, Florida, and Delray Beach, you don't have that here. The main street through Jupiter is Indian Town Road, and I just drove it through. I came here for sunrise, drove it in the dark, and I've driven that road many times. It's just it's a quiet street. When you compare this to areas down in like Delray Beach, which has Atlantic Avenue, or Glades Road on Boca, there's no comparison. So if you're into like super city living, Jupiter is not the place for you. there's a big difference between living here in the eastern part of Jupiter and the western part of Jupiter. When we go over some of the places to live, we'll explore some of that. But in general, Palm Beach, 40 miles north to south, as I mentioned, most of the people when they started moving here, moved towards the coast. So you will find, even though Palm Beach County is a big place, most of the population lives on the East Coast off the beautiful beaches here that we have in Palm Beach. I like to think of living here is like living in a big suburb. Palm Beach County is 1.5 million people, right? And I moved here from New York 18 years ago, and I'm used to, I lived on Long Island, lived in Westchester. I know what it's like to live in suburban living. If you're into suburban living in general, Palm Beach is a good place for that. If you want to lean on the rural side, this is a place for you. But if you don't like rural living, then maybe Jupiter is not for you. So one of the pros when it comes to living in Jupiter, Florida is there's just a ton to do here. So I mentioned we are the boating capital of the world. We are the fishing capital of the world. There's also stuff like kayaking, surfing. There's not any surfers out here today, but if you go down to Juno Beach, which is literally a couple miles that way, you typically do see a lot. You see a lot of surfers. That's, out of all of Palm Beach, that's one of the better ones. Oh, and the other one is up this way. There's this small little town called Tequesta, Florida. It is actually half in Palm Beach and half in Martin County. That's important for real estate taxes. Let me tell you a little bit. Good morning. Let me tell you a little bit more about that. Palm Beach is taxed a little bit higher, real estate taxed, than Martin County. So you can literally live, like there's one of the communities I'll mention later, even though it's got a Jupiter address, it's taxed as if it's in Martin County. That's a big savings in real estate taxes. One of the things that we do for people is we help people relocate to this area, all of Palm Beach and South Florida in general, and we guide them as to things that they should know, and that's one of them. In general, taxes are when you live in other places, I find the taxes are a little bit lower, but not a lot. Palm Beach is higher than Martin County, and Port St. Lucie, which you might have heard a lot of lately, that's even higher. So if you're interested in knowing a little bit more about the tax game here in Palm Beach, reach out to Living in Palm Beach, Florida. This is one of the nicest. This is truly one of the nicest beaches. I love coming here in the morning. But let's go over one of the cons. One of the cons when it comes to moving here to Jupiter, Florida is the weather. Did I just say that? The weather? Well, I'm going to say it from this perspective. If you do not like humidity, Jupiter, Florida is not the place for you. We have here in Jupiter, Florida and in Palm Beach, we have literally the best winters going. Right now, we are just at the beginning of winter here as I film this video, and we get like in the wintertime, we'll open the day at 50 degrees, go up to 70, 75 degrees. That's a fairly common winter day. But in the summertime, in the July and August, just like it will be in many places around the country, it is humid here. And so that's not so bad. If you live like in New York or Chicago or Ohio or Washington, D.C., you want to know something? In July and August, you guys are pretty humid too. Well, that's here in Florida. The only thing is we have a longer summer, basically. Our Septembers are like our August, or like your August. And you guys are cooling down. We're not quite yet. We start earlier as well. So that's one of the cons. So if you don't like humidity, Jupiter, Florida is not for you. Continuing with one of the pros when it comes to moving to Jupiter, Florida, is I mentioned there's a lot to do. Surfing, kayaking is another big thing. Sports in general. So because the weather, and this is related to the weather as well, because the weather here is mild literally all year long, you can do everything here. I mean, I play softball, and in January we're playing softball, and you guys have fields that are covered in snow. your kids, as an example, if they play soccer or baseball or anything, any sport, you can do that outside all year long. If you're into health, this is a great place for that, because you'll see a lot of people, jogging the beaches, jogging the road down in Juno Beach. You see that a lot. You see people, all kinds of stuff, running, skateboarding, all kinds of stuff. So if you're into fitness and things to do, this is a great place to live, Jupiter, Florida. So stick around. I'm gonna look at some of the other areas here, and I'm not just gonna hang from the beach today, although this is beautiful. I don't want to leave this place. Down there is Dubois Park. We'll go there a little. We'll go there today. There's restaurant. I call it Restaurant Row. That's overlooking the lighthouse. I'll do the lighthouse walk too. There's a lot of stuff here in Jupiter. Again, I mentioned it's rural, but it's got a lot of character. So anyways, let's go see what they have down there. Oh, before I do that, let me check this out. I gotta hit another con while I'm here. One of the cons when it comes to living in Jupiter, Florida, is the hurricanes. All right, so the hurricanes. You might have heard here in Florida we get hurricanes. Jupiter, Florida, they get hurricanes. If you were to live here. So what related to the weather? Around September is the height of the hurricane season. The homes here on the pro side to this, the homes here are built stronger than any place else, literally in the world. The code here, a lot of times when you go look at new construction, we'll touch on that later. We are a new home code broker. We help people relocate to this area, and lots of times we find people are looking to relocate to new construction. One of the best, here's a little teaser thing. One of the best new constructions communities, high end, is over in Bridgewater here in Jupiter, Florida. Very high end. I'll tell you more about that, but that's a really good, if you want a lot of land, that's a great place to go. But the hurricanes, again, we are prepared. Palm Beach, you'll often hear when you go to the new construction communities, how they follow Miami-Dade code, which is, because Miami, we're about 87 miles north of Miami, by the way. Miami-Dade code is the strongest when it comes to hurricanes. Back in 1992, I think it was, they had, what was that hurricane? Hurricane Andrew came through, hit Homestead, which is just south of Miami, and they significantly upgraded all their codes and have been doing it ever since. So when you hear, we match Miami-Dade code, that's a good thing. And that's one of the reasons, things you need to worry about if you live here in Florida is the hurricanes. All right, guys, I'm over by the Jupiter Inlet now. So before I get too far out, I'm going to go down this way. In the distance is the Jupiter Lighthouse. Jupiter Lighthouse is sort of like a symbol for Palm Beach, I find. Lots of times you'll see Palm Beach and they'll show that. This is where all the boats come through. It's one of the most popular place for the boat. Hang on a second. One of the most popular places for the boats to come through, to go into the ocean. So I'll touch on some of the housing stuff here now. So if you want a house, if you want to have a boat in your backyard and just go right to the inlet, from the inlet into the ocean, which is that way, this is the best place. This is one of the best places in the world to live. I mean, look at this guy. I mean, that's a diehard fisherman. There's also a sign here. Let me see if I think it's this one here. It basically says, look how treacherous this water is. It basically says, if you're not an experienced boater in this channel, don't do it. This can be rough water. I'm going to head over to Dubois. Actually, I call it Dubois. The Jupiter people, the people who live locally here, they call it Dubois Park. Okay, so let me start with that. It's called Dubois Park. Over here, just came from the beach as we were talking about the hurricanes, And now I'm going to go up the walkway. There's a walkway over that heads over to Du Bois Park, and I'll pick it up there on a few points, and I'll show you in a minute. One of the things I love about the beaches here, as I walk over in that direction, is that in the northern part of Palm Beach, you don't have to pay for parking. I've said this in some of my videos before. One of my pet peeves is paying for parking. We pay real estate taxes for all that stuff, and it drives me crazy. Then we also have to pay a few dollars, sometimes more, to park over by Palm Beach. So here are some of the best beaches in Palm Beach. Palm Beach Island, that is. That's a great one. Lake Worth. I'm starting with the southern ones. Boca Raton is nice. Delray Beach is in the southern part of the county. Delray Beach is my favorite. But the two northern ones here, there's Lake Worth Beach, you can't forget that. That's in Central County. Nice big pier, just like Juno Beach. Both of those guys have like long piers that go out. So one of the pros when it comes to living in Palm Beach and to Jupiter, you have access to some of the best beaches in the whole world. So there's a sign there. It says dangerous. I don't know how well you could see it. It's back there where that guy is fishing. It says dangerous inlet, local knowledge necessary for safe passage. That's actually a pretty well way to frame it. Also here, as you could tell, there have been some famous Jupiter Inlet shipwrecks, and here they outline the ones that took place back in the 1600s and the 1700s. Although this is a rural place, Jupiter's been on the map for a long time. Like I said, it's a fishing place too. Like if you're into fishing, you know, it's nice. So here, look at the anchor. See if I can get that in. Yeah, there we go. So continuing what I was starting to say, so people have boats in their backyard, like these guys right here. I mean, this is right near the ocean. So those houses, that's like a country club over there. But if you see these people, you can see those are high net worth houses, especially overlooking the lighthouse. We're going to go more there in a minute. But those houses, the inlet leads into Loxahatchee River. And when you go into Loxahatchee River and you buy a house in there, you're looking at about a $5 million purchase price. On prices, in Palm Beach County as a whole, the average price is roughly about $620,000. That's for all of Palm Beach County. There are some pockets that are significantly higher. Palm Beach Island, $13 million. Houses on Loxahatchee River, $5 million, up to $10 million, and so forth. So Jupiter Island, as an example, is another area. It's the island that's right in there. If you go to some parts over there, you're looking at $10 million. There's some high-end condos over there, and those of you who follow the channel know that we've been sort of steering people. Not steering, we don't steer. We've been letting people know about the risk when it comes to getting into a condo. There is significant risk, particularly with older condos. But again, prices in Palm Beach are about $620. In Jupiter, they're a little bit higher. You can get believe it or not, a modest house is going to be something like $800,000 here in Jupiter. We do a lot of new construction, as I mentioned, new home co-broker with eXp Luxury. So we know all the builders really, really, really well, and we know all the differences between the incentives and where is this time of year the best place to look if you're looking for deals. We have a new construction website if you're interested, email me, I'll send it to you. They can search just new construction in the area. And the reason I say this is I did Palm Beach Gardens, which is a nearby town here, and I did their average price. Their average price is $1 million. And the reason I mention Palm Beach Gardens is because it is literally like the fastest growing area right now due to the master plan community named Avenir. So now we're in the area of Du Bois Park. It looks like it's changed a little bit since I was last here. They have picnic tables and whatnot. It looks like it's a little bit more, there is a guarded area. In the summertime, you'll get a lot more people out here. We're in the early morning and it's the winter, but you'll see kids snorkeling. It's another great sport. You talked about pros and cons. The pros of living in Jupiter, Florida, that's a big one. You could see all kinds of wildlife, fish life, marine life, in here by snorkeling. And I have someone I'm working with now. The reason they chose this area, they're from a far away land. They're from Tennessee, and the reason why they're moving here is the guy is an avid snorkeler, and so this is, if that's your thing, that's really that's what you should consider. Over there is a bridge. I want to tell you a little bit about that. But one of the cons when it comes to living here in Jupiter, Florida, is the transportation. So if you're thinking of, if you want like a place with public transportation, this is not going to be for you. You need a car if you're going to live here. There's not really a, there is, you can take a bus here and there, but this is not a place that's easy to get around if you don't have your own car. I mentioned the drawbridge because if you drive, and you will, if you live here probably, they have boats, big boats that go through there. So they have a drawbridge. If you get stuck, if you're in a rush and you get stuck at the drawbridge coming out, you better add 10 to 15 minutes to your, not 15, but 5 or 10 minutes at least to your travel time. Lots of locals, what they do is they get to know the hours when they go up. Typically, they go up twice an hour. So if you're in one area, let's say North Palm Beach, it'll go up at, let's say, 1/4 after and 45. In other parts, it might go up on the hour, on the half hour. So one of the cons when it comes to living here in Jupiter, Florida, and Palm Beach is the traffic and the transportation. So over there is, you can probably see in the distance, is the Jupiter Lighthouse. We're going to go over to Restaurant Row a little bit later and take a look at that. But here, let's see if we can see some of these, how well you can see some of these houses off the inlet here. So I mentioned one of the cons is hurricanes, and let me go over one of the other cons. One of the other cons is insurance. So because of those hurricanes, we live in an area of the country where our homeowners insurance is going to be more money. We here at Living in Palm Beach, Florida, have figured out a way to help you with that. New construction. Again, we do new home co-broker. We have found that the premiums that you pay for homeowners insurance is significantly lower on new construction. There was years for the past several years, and it's getting better. Like my insurance policy just came in, and it was a lot lower from last year, which is lower than the previous year. So they are doing good things. Our governor, I feel, is doing a great job when it comes to this. It's a slow process. We've gotten here slowly, and we're getting out of it slowly, but we are getting better. But in order to avoid all that, is new construction. The carriers love new construction because you can let me go. This is a better way to look, right? Because you have a new roof when it comes to having your home, and when years passed, the people who had older roofs there was sort of like a fraud scheme going on. Lawyers and public adjusters were knocking door to door. Do you want us to fix your new roof and have your insurance company pay for it? And they would do that. And they started cracking down on that. That's illegal to do right now today. So you want to know more about that, reach out. We've got a great a resource that we use for insurance. But since they're cracking down on that, and new construction, you have a brand new roof. Lifespan of a roof is about 30 years, the average one. Metal roofs, another big thing that's coming up, even longer. But new construction, to give you an idea, we do a lot of $1 million houses at about $1 million. And you can get a home at $1 million in like Avenir, which I mentioned. I'll talk more about Avenir later. You can pay less than $3,000 a year which I feel is pretty reasonable in a state where we've had some significant insurance history issues in the past. So I mentioned Palm Beach Gardens. Palm Beach Gardens is I mentioned one of the fastest growing because of Avenir. It's also, when I get people who are want a nice address, it's one of the better places. Jupiter is one of the best. So I think most people know Jupiter, Palm Beach Gardens. The third one is Wellington. Wellington is more known for people looking at A-rated schools because they're known for their schools. But we'll talk more all about this. We're going to go see what's going on over at Restaurant Row and Harborside and some of the other great things there are to do here in Jupiter, Florida. See, here I'm in Harborside in Jupiter, Florida. This place was created about 10 years ago. I'll walk through some of the shops and places there. Lots of nice restaurants. This is one of the newer attractions. Before you go over the bridge, the main road through Jupiter is Indiantown Road. I think I mentioned that before. But before you go over the bridge on Indiantown Road, you come to Harborside, and they have this great place with boats too. This is so I mentioned we are the boating capital of the world. Not all boats are created equal here. On a busy day, like we're a little bit too early for it right now, but you'll see a lot of these, a lot of boats coming through here on the Intracoastal, which is where we are right now. But I've seen some big yachts docked on this place. So here's one at Andres of Jupiter, Florida. So what I think is great, if you come here for lunch, you can just stroll down this dock, and just after you're finished, just take a walk and watch the boats go by and enjoy life here in Jupiter, Florida. So as I'm walking the streets here in Harborside, it's really early, so a lot of this stuff isn't. A lot of these places aren't open at this exact moment, but if you come here during the day, this place is rocking. This is what they call sexy Mexican food. This is I find a lot of people here. Every time I come here during lunch, it's crowded. I wanted to mention something about outside dining. It is very common here. We get a lot of people, snowbirds, here in Jupiter, Florida. People that come down here for just the winter. If you're looking to buy a place, there's lots of HOAs here, homeowners associations. Sometimes they have regulations on how you can rent your place. Like as an example, sometimes they will only allow you to rent your place annually. So you can't, as a snowbird, and you want to rent it while you're not here, you cannot do that. So you're going to work with someone who knows these areas and knows about the regulations. Florida is a little bit of a tricky place when it comes to buying real estate, especially if you want to do something that's tailored to your needs. So in the wintertime, the snowbirds come down, and everybody else that lives here all year round. Here we have a nice Christmas tree here in the middle of Harborside. Lots of people like to eat outside. We have, when it gets cold, and our definition of cold is very different than yours. If we get 50 degrees here, people think it's cold here. But if those days that we get 50 degrees at night and we'll get 40 degrees at night, they'll put the heaters out in these restaurants, and people will eat outside here. It's a common thing to do in the wintertime, and it's brilliant, is to eat your dinner outside here in this paradise that we call Jupiter, Florida. We have a lot of high-end stores here in this complex. Also, I've had people who've asked me that, show me, I want a good place to stay in a hotel while I'm here looking. I guide them there. The Wyndham Grand Hotel. It's a little bit on the pricey side, but everyone I know that stays there loves it. So if you're interested in staying in Jupiter, we'll reach out to us and we can give you some other ideas. But that's one of the places I would check out, the Wyndham Grand Hotel here in Harborside in Jupiter, Florida. So one of the things is, as I mentioned, it's the boating capital here of the world. If you want to buy a boat, there's no place better. Every year here in Florida and South Florida, they have 3 big boat shows. One is the Palm Beach Boat Show. That's the smallest of the 3. Then you have the second one is a really big one. It's called the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. Last but not least is the Miami Boat Show. I have a good friend of mine is is in that business, and that's where they make they sell people boats, basically. If you're in the market for a boat, here's the American Yacht Club here, the American Yacht Group here in Harborside. If you're in the market for a boat, there's lots of places here in this area here in Palm Beach. Here's one of my favorite coffee places. You know, everyone has Starbucks and whatnot, but it's nice to see a successful, smaller company. We have a lot of nice, smaller places here in Jupiter that I think are nice. That's not just like franchise type places. This one's called Subculture Coffee Roasters. They started in downtown West Palm Beach. By the way, if you live in this area, if you're moving to this area, you will find yourself going to downtown West Palm Beach often. There's a lot of great stuff that happens there. You'll find yourself going there. But they started there in downtown West Palm Beach. They opened in Palm Beach Gardens, and now they're here also in Jupiter, Florida. So one of the pros when it comes to living here in Jupiter, Florida is you are near a lot of things. Within 2 and a half hours north of here is Orlando, and all the things that Orlando brings you, like Disney, which is huge, as you know. The biggest Disney in the world is there. You have Universal Studios, you have SeaWorld. It is like the resort park capital of the world. There's a ton to do in Orlando. If you have kids, forget about it. You'll go crazy. Now, we used to do season passes. My family and I, so those who follow the channel know I have 3 kids. They're a little bit older now. My youngest is in high school, but we used to do season passes. If you are a Florida resident, you get a significant discount for doing that. And when we lived in New York, we used to go to the Hamptons in the weekends. Well, when we lived here in Florida, we would go to Disney for the weekends. There's also the Universal Studios, which they also do an annual pass. There's Legoland. There's a ton there. Down south are the Keys. The Keys are I find to be the most beautiful place in the world. Key West is one of my favorite places in the world to go to. 4-hour trip, roughly 5 from here, maybe about 5 hours. If you do not hit traffic to drive all the way straight to Key West, but you can easily within like 2.5 hours get to Key Largo. You have Marathon, you have Key Largo. There's just a lot of beauty when it comes to the Florida Keys. There's a lot of other stuff around Florida, but those are the 2 highlights. If you live in Jupiter, Florida, you are in between 2 of the most beautiful places and a place of things to do in the world. So this is a great place in terms of a location when it comes to living here in Jupiter, Florida. So we would love for you to reach out. If you're on vacation, you're not really ready to start looking for homes because you're a few years out from retirement, whatever your case may be, we work with everybody in all shapes and sizes. I've had lots of people that I've kept in touch with for years, and 3 years later, here we are looking. So that's common. If you're on vacation, you want to get to know these areas, we have a thing called hotspots. Email us if you want to know what that's about. So we have a hotspot for Jupiter. We have a hotspot for Boynton Beach. We have a hotspot for Palm Beach Gardens. What it is a PDF that we give you things to do around the area and things to do if you're considering moving here. Some of the things you want to see or see what the area is about. Here, if you like, as an example, if you're not quite ready, but you want to know what Jupiter is about, and you want to know about their brilliant lighthouse, this is something I will show you on your hotspot. There's the Jupiter Lighthouse. Welcome to Jupiter. So here we are on I'm on what I call Restaurant Row. There's a lot of nice restaurants in this area. Jupiter, one of the pros when it comes to living in Jupiter, Florida is there's tremendous restaurants. There's the Beacon. They have a dockside thing up top there. This place in the winter time, early dinner time. People, generally speaking, eat a little bit earlier here in Florida versus other places. And it's not because we're older. It just is the way we do things. You have the Beacon here. You have Jetties down the street. You have a bunch of great restaurants all right here, overlooking the Jupiter Lighthouse. It's a great place after you're done eating dinner. If you want to check out the boats going by, it's phenomenal. One of Joe Namath and Tiger Woods, they have They have restaurants up there. I got to say this too. If in terms about things to do, golf. There's a ton of golf places nearby. Avenir is our most popular master plan community. They've built a Jack Nicklaus course up there called Panther National. You can buy a home off there for several $1 million, but that's not why I bring it up. They have a membership community there. Those have a very much more affordable Sandhill Crane public course. But if you want to spend $12 million, that's what those homes cost in Panther National. That's what you have. So golf is a big thing here. I want to continue on Avenir in a minute. But before I lose my train of thought on golf, we have more professional golfers that live in Jupiter than any place in the world. So Avenir average price is really, you can get in there around $1 million. That's our biggest, in the past year, that is our #1 master plan community that we've helped people in. There are basically 3 big master plan communities and several new communities coming up this coming year. So if you want to know what they are, reach out, we'll tell you about them. But one of the other bigger ones, a little bit more modestly priced, is Westlake, Florida. You can get Westlake somewhere's on the low end, 500s. Townhouses, if you want to go townhouse, you can go even lower. But for single family homes, 500,000 to $1 million, somewhere's in there, 700,000 or 800,000. That's their sweet spot. There's a big difference. If I get a lot of people that come here and they move here and sometimes they make a mistake. You do not want to make a mistake of moving here. I had someone I ran into, I tell this story from time to time, that said, "Hey Ray, we see your videos in Avenir and we live here now, but we're disappointed." It's the best community in my book, but not for everybody. They wanted more of a Boca lifestyle, which is more about what I was telling you before about that Delray Beach, Boca things to do, just walk right onto the avenue. That's not what Avenir is about. Continuing on Jupiter, living in Jupiter, whether you live east or west in Jupiter is a difference. The eastern part is more money. You can get a modest house, literally a modest house for $800,000 to $1 million. If you go out towards the western part, if you want land, it's one of the best places for like a non-HOA, non-homeowners association communities, a place called Jupiter Farms. I love that area. You can get about an acre and a half out there. A lot of the homes are existing homes. You can do a to-be-built, like you can do a custom to-be-built in that area. Loxahatchee and Western Jupiter are 2 of the more popular places to do it. A lot of people do Loxahatchee because the land is less expensive, but you could do it in Jupiter. You're going to spend more on the land, but you have a Jupiter address, and that goes a long way. Continuing with Bridgewater, I mentioned Bridgewater. Bridgewater is a big community here. It's more than half sold now. You can get anywhere from like an acre and a half to 5 acres. There's an area called the Retreat there. Homes there are roughly $2 million to $6 million. It's not a place you can get in for comfortably under $2 million. But if you're into having a lot of land in a super nice house, it's a Devasta community. I'd love to help you with that. I'd love it. It's made for people who want who are into having a lot of land. Not really a big clubhouse scene. It's not like that kind of community. A lot of Palm Beach is more of a clubhouse scene. That Bridgewater community is not. Like I mentioned, we speak to all the builders. We know the differences between all of them. Couple of the big builder names down here that you don't get in other parts of the world. GL Homes is one of the biggest, private, just based down here roughly in South Florida. Coulter Homes, another big one. Speaking of Coulter, they've got a new community in Avenir called La Biance. Put that on your radar. Right now, to me, that's the #1 place right this second. That could change in a couple months, but right this second, between the deals that they're offering there and the quality that it provides, that's my #1. That's my #1 pick right now, incentive-wise as well. I mentioned Westlake. Coulter does. There's a lot coming on in Westlake. Westlake is going to be 4,000 homes. Avenir is going to be 4,000 homes when all is said and done. Canopy Creek, another one. It's in Martin County, less taxes. Palm City, they're almost sold out. They're about an acre and a half equestrian type of community. And of course, there's Port St. Lucie. If you really, if you want a place that's very affordable, growing, getting it on the ground floor, and you're okay being a little bit further away from the southern part, like Miami, then Port St. Lucie, we find a lot of people looking at and considering these days. There's another great new construction community here in Jupiter. I almost forgot to tell you. It's called Symphony. I'd love to help you in that one. I think it's not really a super gated community, master plan community. It's a smaller community. You might like that. Homes there run about $2 million. Very, very, very high end though. And we find for people who want some more, not really the big elaborate master plan community, that's one. There's a lot of smaller builders that can help you to that end. Let me mention one or two other things. Jupiter we are the spring training. It's all about things to do. We are the spring training capital of the world. So we get a lot of people that come down here in the month of March that basically go to Jupiter here, which is the home of the St. Louis Cardinals and the Miami Marlins. They go to Port St. Lucie to see the Mets. They go to West Palm Beach, which is the home of the Houston Astros and the Nationals, Washington Nationals. There's a lot. I had to mention that because Jupiter is one of the places where they have the where they host. It's in Roger Dean Stadium, where they host the spring training. During the non-spring training, they have two minor league teams there called the Palm Beach Cardinals and the Jupiter Hammerheads, which is for the Miami Marlins. So there's a lot there. That Abacoa area is another area. I got to do a video on that one day. That's adjacent to here, pretty close to here. The other thing I have to mention is one of the cons when it comes to Jupiter is a pros and cons video, is the schools. Now I say that a little bit in jest because the schools I find are actually quite good. I think there's more moving here from New York, down from New York 18 years ago. I find that there's more choices. There are more choices for magnet schools, charter schools. There's some great private schools right here nearby Jupiter, the Benjamin School as an example. There's a lot of good choices when it comes to schools down here. I have 3 kids two are in college, one's in law school. I've taken them through all the levels of school. My youngest is still in a magnet school here in West Palm Beach. I've seen it all. My children rarely went to the school they were districted for, but if you're looking at districting, there are some places, like I mentioned, Wellington, that you can consider. But schools, some people will say the con, but I actually call it a pro when it comes to living here in Jupiter, Florida. Jupiter, Palm Beach, paradise here in South Florida.